Hey guys, welcome to another episode of TR's Corner. For today's discussion slash story I want to share with you, there was a watch that I used to have up in my room for the longest time. I think I was about 9 or 10 or maybe even 11 when this happened, or it happened around that time period. Because I had this watch for a good maybe 2 or 3 years, I think, and then once I found out, that it was basically doing what I'm about to tell you about, then that's when I found I had to get rid of it because it was just too scary after a while. Um, so yeah, what happened was is I got this watch several years ago. I was a little kid when I got it, and as you can tell by the time by the time this happened, I was about 9, 10, or 11. So I was pretty young when I actually got the watch itself. Yeah, I got this watch at one point where you could play like little games on the how like there's a little timer settings on the on watches, and you can set the actual time on a watch and things like that. So you could play these little games on it and things like that. And after the experience was said and done, it wasn't until looking back on the first time around the time I got this watch where I realized basically why I was doing the thing I'm about to tell you about. I accidentally set the watch for a certain time at night. um, I think I set it for like 2:40 or something like that. So basically, it was an alarm feature, and I didn't know it was an alarm feature at the time. I was just kind of playing around with the watch. Didn't really know what certain things were. Followed the instruction manual the best I could with it, and clearly I didn't understand the alarm feature of it at the time. So I used to have these little cupboard things in my room. Long gone. I have it like almost like a desk area now, next to my bed instead now. But back then, I had these little cupboard things where you can store a bunch of stuff in those. Put the watch in there. I didn't really use it because I wasn't a big watch person, and it was kind of thick on your arm too. Like it was just a very thick, big watch that you didn't really want to carry around on your wrist. Just one of those kind of watches that you just didn't want to wear. And I swear it was the scariest sound whenever it did the alarm. And like I said, because I accidentally set it to a night setting, in the AM, like 2:30 a.m. or something like that, that thing would go off at night and it would be freaky. It almost kind of sound. Imagine like a broken banjo and it's playing. And so imagine a broken banjo and somebody's trying to play it. That's what the basically the this watch's alarm sounded like. So it would go off in the middle of the night. I would run out into the hallway. I'd be freaking out. I didn't know what this thing was. I didn't know what the sound was coming from. I knew it was coming from the cupboard things, and but I didn't know what it was. And so my parents, they obviously heard me run around, uh, asked me what was going on, and I told them that there was this scary sound that came out of my cupboard near my desk, which was near my bed. And so, I didn't know what it was. At first I thought it might be like a loose spring in my bed or something. So we didn't really know what it was at the time. And, it kept going like this. It would keep doing this throughout the year, until I finally figured out what it was and, why it was making the sound. So, several times it has gone by now. And then it eventually got to the point where I almost kind of looked at the clock and made sure I knew what time basically that this thing would be going off at. And so when I did, and it turned out, I think it was around New Year's time at the time. So I was up late anyway, and I figured out, I was able to track the sound. I listened closely and figured out where it was coming from, and I found out it was the watch that was doing it this entire time. It was not a loose spring on the bed or anything. It was this little watch. Like I said, freakiest little sound for alarm. It's definitely the most scariest alarm sound I've ever had throughout my life because I use my cell phone for an alarm, and I actually have an alarm clock. I've had several different alarm clocks that I've used throughout the years, to help get me up in the morning and things like that. Um, so yeah, this thing with the scariest little sound, and so I ended up throwing it away for good reason too. Never used it anyway. It was just kind of basically then I'd be hearing the scary alarm sound in the basement if I kept it down here in the basement area here. So I didn't want to keep it down here, and so I ended up throwing it away. And I probably would have thrown it away anyway, because I had this new desk area installed in my room a couple years ago. Um, wanted a more mature look and a more, just wanted to update at the time. But I luckily threw it away right around the time I figured it out. That it was basically this little watch doing it, And man, oh man, did that thing have a creepy sound. And that's my number one memory of that watch. And it's not a good memory either, of just how scary that little banjo sounding alarm was for that little watch that I had. So that's my story today, guys. Let me know down below if you like this story, didn't like the story. Did you guys have any little scary toys as a kid that you definitely threw away as soon as you figured out it was freaking you out too much? Let me know down below, and I hope to see you guys here for a future video.